And to discuss more about really what's happening post the budget presentation and the protests that we've seen in Parliament today, we have with us Member of Parliament of the Congress Party, Karti Chidambaram. Thank you so much, Karti Chidambaram, for joining us this evening. Now, post the budget, we have seen the reaction coming in from the Congress Party saying that this is not a budget that's conducive for the economic growth of the country. However, yesterday when the budget presentations were coming out and the proposals were coming out, we saw several of the Congress leaders come out and say that this is a cut and paste budget, that it's a copy of several of the policies that have been proposed by the Congress Party. Aren't these two arguments prima facie contradictory?
No, there are some aspects in the budget which have taken inspiration from our manifesto, and which we welcome it. We don't have any quibble with taking points from our manifesto and implementing them. Particularly the apprentice scheme is something which we have mooted. I mean, of course, it's only an idea, and they have taken in a manifesto. It's an idea, and they're glad that they've taken that idea. But that notwithstanding, our grouse is the non-egalitarian way in which resources have been dispensed to the various states. Some states feel shortchanged. Some states have been given largesses. And we understand the political reasoning behind those largesses. But that's not the way a union functions. A union doesn't function on the whims and fancies of political compulsions. There must be an egalitarian and there must be a sound economic reason for distributing resources, and we believe that that's not been followed, and that's why we've been saying that this has not been a very fair budget.
Right. But many are also talking about how in the past, we have seen your own leader, while of course Rahul Gandhi has called this a Kursi Bachao budget. We've also seen how in the past, Mr. Jairam Ramesh, for instance, has come out and said that the India bloc will, quote-unquote, finish the unfinished business of 2014 by granting special category status to Andhra Pradesh, a promise that was initially made by the Manmohan Singh government. So now, isn't it a shift in stance when it appears that the Congress and other opposition parties have a problem when Andhra Pradesh and Bihar have got these special bonanzas?
No, we do not have any problem with these two states getting what they've asked for. All we are saying is it could have been, you should have also paid attention to other parts. Please understand, we completely are with the people of Andhra Pradesh and Bihar, and we are glad that they have been given the resources. But we'll have to look at the fine print, whether these are really resource allocations or these are only, tall promises. You see, every year when the budget is made, in fact, I'm of the view this whole song and dance about a budget must stop. I mean, no mature country keeps tinkering with rates on a yearly basis. We must have stability in economic policy. That's what will give growth. And every year, grand sounding schemes are announced. What happened to those schemes? I mean, where are those schemes now? I mean, some of them are all such grave tongue twisters, I can't even remember them. I know we talked about 100 smart cities. What is the status of these 100 smart cities? Every year when the budget is announced, the ruling party here comes out and say, oh, this is now going to be the roadmap for the next 10 years. Which means what? For the next 10 years, they will not tinker with any of the proposals they've made in the taxation policy. So I really think this, I mean, as a country, I think we should stop this song and dance about a budget. And the budget is just an administrative exercise, and there must be stability in taxation policy and in government policy going forward, so that industry knows exactly what to expect. But of course, as a resource allocation has to be done so that there is egalitarian growth in the society. But what has happened to the previous policies? Every year we say, oh, we've given so much more to this sector, we're so much more to the other sector. And every year you say you're given more money to the railways. But what has happened to your safety protocols? You're outsourcing so many jobs in the railways, and the minute you outsource a job, that contractor who gets the contract will always try to hire the people at the lowest price, which means they don't necessarily have the skill sets to perform the job, and that is why safety is failing. So we really need to, I think, as a country, as a political system, we need to take a step back and look at the efficacies of all these grand counting schemes which we've been consistently making year after year, and we're jumping from one scheme to another after a year, and we're completely forgetting whether that scheme got implemented, whether there was any benefit from that scheme, and what is the impact on the ground. And I think we need to really have a complete rethink on the way in which this exercise and pomp and show of this budget is being done. That's my personal view anyway.
Absolutely. And no, that's a fair point. Perhaps that has to be consistency. But while you're calling this budget discriminatory, dangerous, etc., you've also announced, in fact, the Congress has announced that chief ministers of the Congress will be absent from the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting that's set for the 27th of July. The question that then arises is, will that not deprive the various state governments and the respective states of, the chance to argue, perhaps put forth their points of view before the NITI Aayog, which would only end up helping their state in the long run?
See, this is a decision which has been taken at the political level, which is beyond my pay station, and they want to make a strong statement about the discriminatory allocation of resources. If the chief ministers of various states and the political leadership of a party has taken that decision, I have no further comments to offer on that.
Right. But are you, of course, you addressed this in the first question that I asked you, but some of the points that you made about the internship, about the angel tax, in fact, your father had tweeted about this yesterday. Are you glad that the government is, finally taking some kind of policy cues from the opposition? Or do you think that this has something to do with the kind of Lok Sabha election result that we saw?
No, I think this budget making exercise itself should be a collaborative effort. If I was in the finance minister, I would actually call for a meeting of various political parties and ask their representatives to give their views as well. This need not be such a closed door hush affair. I mean, I think that need not be the manner in which we prepare budgets from now on. I think it should be a much more transparent, open, collaborative exercise, and which will bring about stability. And I think public representatives of various political parties bring in a lot of native intelligence to the table, and I think it's necessary to have that conversation, particularly from people from the northeast, political representatives from Kashmir and other states. I think they would bring a tremendous amount of native intelligence, and an open conversation would help. I mean, but when was the last time the finance minister of the present finance minister, who's been in office for more than 7 years, has ever had a free and frank conversation, say, with the predecessors or with people who have some sort of a strong economic background, economic policy background from other political parties? We don't see that kind of bipartisan collaboration in terms of economic policy here in India, and that's, in my opinion, is something which we should change. As an aspiring global power, we should change the method in which policy formulation is brought about.
Are you saying there's never been any meeting or any conversation that's happened in the last 7 years?
No, I don't think so. I've not noted. I mean, even if such a conversation happened, why should it be secret? It could have been easily publicized. Not to my recollection. I don't think the finance minister of the day today has ever had a conversation with the former finance ministers of India. And there are a few former finance ministers of India around. And I'm not sure that they've ever had a conversation, a free and frank conversation, asking their views. And there are other people as well who might not have been finance ministers, but who consistently write, talk, and have a strong training in economic policy, in public economic policy. I mean, you could engage with them, but I don't see that kind of bipartisan engagement. You call the obligatory meeting with industry representatives, but you do not have this conversation with people from public representatives from other political parties. That conversation never happens.
Right. Interesting.
And I think that's something which should change going forward, no matter who's in government.
Absolutely. Certainly, of course, consultation, it wouldn't be happening for the first time. That's happened in different ministries in the past. And one thing that I do want to ask you, though, is as far as Rahul Gandhi today meeting with the farmers, because he had said that they will be pushing, and the Congress will be pushing for the legal guarantee of the MSP. Now, this is criticism coming in from the side of the BJP. They're saying that this is, an initiative that will only push towards more populism. How do you look at it?
No, you see, agriculture is not a very remunerative profession or vocation, but it employs the largest number of people. I think a MSP, a guaranteed MSP, would go a long way in assuring a certain basic income level for farmers. And I think we should move towards a system in which the state, which is the government of the day, government of India, guarantees a basic minimum for agriculture produce no matter what, because with climate change happening and so many variables in play, I think we need to bring a little stability to the price which farmers get for their toil.
Right. There's also been some amount of criticism when we're talking about finances in the manner in which the guarantees have been implemented in one of the bigger states where Congress is in power, and that is in the state of Karnataka. There's a lot of, they're saying that it costs more than 55,000 crores to the exchequer, and even representatives of the Congress party, your MLAs, ministers have spoken about the difficulty in implementing various schemes with these kind of finances that are available. So this is being also cited repeatedly by the BJP of an example of populism that has gone wrong and has not kept, prudent financial planning in mind.
You see, this is a complicated, not only an economic argument, but it's also a social argument. Do you provide resources for people who are marginalized in this country? Do you give them resources so that they have certain things at no cost, basically? Like you're talking about the free bus scheme or the rations or the monthly payment schemes like we're doing in Tamil Nadu. There are economic benefits in doing these things, and states must prudently rearrange their finances and find ways in which they can marshal resources to meet their commitments which they've made in their political campaigns. End of the day, people are voting for the promises you've made in your election campaigns, and you should, and then state governments or any political formation must find the resources to meet those promises.
Right. One of the key and perhaps most controversial aspects of this budget has been the manner in which the long-term capital gains as well as short-term capital gains taxes, slabs have been tweaked. Of course, the government says it's a move towards rationalization. Do you buy this argument? Do you agree with them? Because there are those who say that, the indexation clause being removed, etc., could lead to a lot of extra tax exposure to a number of those who are property owners. In fact, one of the criticisms is that this is sort of inheritance tax being brought in through the back door. What's your view on this?
See, there is an argument. The indexation basically helps you to ride over what's happened because of inflation. If anybody understands why do we have indexation? Because there is a natural inflation in the economy, and the asset is now sort of insulated from that inflation, and when you take that into account when you calculate your capital gains. Now they've taken it out and lowered the policy. This actually will have a negative effect on property owners who held the property, and property prices don't increase in such rapid multiples, and they will be affected. But if they are going to rationalize taxes, they must also say that they're not going to tinker with it for years to come. This can't be, you can't start off by saying, I'm removing indexation and I'm going to do it at 12.5%, and next year you say, oh, now I need more resources, I'm going to make the 12.5 15, and then 1 year later it becomes 20. So the point is, the stability in taxation policy is very essential in India, and we can't have this tinkering. Every year, whenever you tinker with tax rates or any tax rate, you're saying you're going to rationalize it. But that I don't buy that argument at all. I'm not. That seems to be the case with government in India in general. We tinker with things on a yearly basis. I think this tinkering on a yearly basis must stop. There must be consensus on tax policy which is going to be stable and has to be there for at least for a block of 5 years, if not longer.
Right, and we were speaking.
And indexation removal is going to affect properties. Yeah, and it might even lead to people undervaluing their property on paper when they sell it in order to avoid the higher tax which will be affecting them.
Right, because we were speaking earlier to Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, who is, of course, the railway and as well as INB minister and communication as well. And he was saying that there is certain feedback that has been received, whereas as far as the LTCG itself is concerned, is the opposition going to further push on a rollback as far as the new provisions in LTCG are concerned?
We will raise all our points. When the debate is happening, we will raise all these issues, and we'll wait for the government's response. And the government doesn't necessarily only react to the opposition voices. There was industry pushback also will happen. They also react to markets. Markets have not really reacted very positively to these steps. So let's see. This government has rolled back many things in the past, and I won't be surprised by the time the budget comes to pass, the time comes to pass it, they might roll back some of the provisions, but that's natural. But if you have an open and a collaborative and a consensual process of formulating these policies, you don't have to go through this toing and froing. It could have been a much more simpler and a much more acceptable budget could have come about if you had just consulted more people. And I mean that doesn't seem to be the practice in India, but I hopefully going forward, I don't know whether this is going to find any purchase from the powers that be. I think you must have a much more collaborative and open process in formulating taxation policies and budget policies.
Right. Very last question, sir, since this is a big issue in Tamil Nadu and of course certainly a national issue as well. The Supreme Court has refused, the demand that had come in as far as redoing the NEET exam is concerned. They've said that there's no evidence of mass-scale leaks as has been alleged time and again. Of course, there's been differing versions that have come in from various political parties. But what's your view on this judgment? Because this has been a very, very contentious political issue in recent days.
I respectfully disagree with the Supreme Court. I think there is no integrity in this exam. This exam has been opposed in Tamil Nadu for various reasons. It's been opposed on the count that it's anti-federal. Why should the central government conduct an exam for colleges which are funded and run by state governments? That is anti-federal in the first count. And secondly, there is a clear bias towards CBSE students who have a slight edge over the other board students because the questions come from primarily the CBSE curriculum. Thirdly, people who go to coaching classes have a clear edge over those who don't go to coaching classes. And the data from this year's exam itself clearly shows that all the high scores, if you notice, are coming from clusters where there are this proliferation of these coaching schools are situated. So clearly this examination is an unfair exam, and this is not possibly the best way to admit students into medical colleges, and this must be scrapped. As far as this year's exam is concerned, it lacks integrity. I do not understand how you can classify a leak as a material leak and as not a material. It is not a mass scale leak. A leak is a leak. A leak has happened, and we really can't. I don't think the court or anybody has quantified who are the exact beneficiaries of the leak. If there is even one beneficiary of the leak, the integrity of the exam goes away. And secondly, there is also confusion about one particular question which I've been reading in the papers about on physics, where there could have been potentially two answers, and now Delhi IIT has said there's only one answer to it. So now there's going to be a re-evaluation for about 4 lakh students are going to get affected because of that re-evaluation, and that's why the final marks of this year's NEET has not yet been published, and the government and the NTA is going to take 2 more days to publish it. So this is, in my opinion, this exam has lost its integrity and has lost its credibility, and you can't rely on a set of scores which has no integrity. If you do not have integrity and you don't trust the data which is coming out, the marks coming out of a system, how can you admit people in that? I think it's going to be very unfair, and in this year at least they should have scrapped this and gone back to, either ordered a retest or relied only on the 12th standard marks to admit students. Anyway, going forward, I think the NEET is going to find a natural death, because now other states have also realized why NEET is unfair and why it's not the best system to admit students. And I think it's only a matter of time before NEET comes to a complete end.
All right. Karti Chidambaram, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us here on Times Now. Yes, pickleball is a sport which is fast gaining popularity across the world, and now the stage is set for pickleball's own global tournament. The GCC region has been identified as the host for the first PWR World Series to be held in March 2025. This initiative is backed by Pickleball League Asia Private Limited in partnership with the Times Group. Here's a report.
It's the world's fastest growing sport, and very soon pickleball will have its own global tournament. On July 24, in a landmark moment for the sport, the Pickleball World Rankings, the PWR World Series and the PWR World Tour were launched with much fanfare in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Fittingly, GCC region has been identified as the host for the first PWR World Series to be held in March 2025. This initiative is backed by Pickleball League Asia Private Limited in partnership with the Times Group amid an unprecedented surge in popularity of the sport globally.
I believe this is a watershed moment for pickleball. I think this is going to change everything for pickleball. I do believe that pickleball will be the fastest growing sport, not just in the world, but like Asia is going to take it by storm. I think the sport by itself is gaining momentum, specifically in the Asian continent where China and India are kind of leading the way. But I think as it comes into the GCC, it's going to have a huge impact here as well. The World Series is basically your top pro event, which essentially has 12 players from the US on the team side and 12 players from the rest of the world. It's both a team-based system as well as a tour system. It's got, in 6 days of pro events, and it goes from city to city. GCC is our first destination, and then we go to US, and then we go to different parts of the world. The World Series is going to be an iconic, tournament for the pros. It's going to be akin to the Grand Slams for tennis. And that's our hope is that it's already going to be the biggest prize money event, also becomes the biggest watched and the most watched event for pickleball in the world. Total prize money for the World Series is going to be more than $9 million, with $1.5 million committed for the first event in GCC. This is the highest prize money ever in the sport of pickleball. We plan to have 500 plus PWR events across the globe next year in 2025. We already have close to about 40 sanctioned events happening this year, but we're sanctioning close to 500 plus events across the globe. And the total prize money is going to exceed $10 million collectively in these tours. The India Tour. This is an exciting proposition for us. So we want to introduce the feeder tour for the World Series, which is our PWR India Tour, 12 events, 6 teams, $1 million in total prize money. And we have a surprise message for all of you today.
Hello, India. I heard you like pickleball. Well, I'm coming to India to play pickleball with you. I will be there to launch the PWR Duper India Tour and League, and to talk to you about your Duper rating. India, what's your Duper? See you soon.
One of the biggest things for pickleball in India, I think, having Andre Agassi, one of the most recognized tennis players in the world, to come down and play pickleball and launch the India Tour is going to be phenomenal. So we hope that we are able to do similar things across the world. We thank Duper for this, our partnership with Duper to allow us to do this, and we hope that we can bring similar athletes and do similar things across the globe. We're thankful Mr. Yuzichel is here today to support us as well, and hopefully we're able to do that. That's my team. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you for your time today.
Some of the sport's well-known fans include Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Taylor Swift. And it has taken another giant step towards global recognition.
It is a pleasure to stand before you today as we mark a significant milestone in the world of sports with the launch of the Pickleball World Rankings, PWR, the PWR World Series, and the PWR World Tour. The Times Group is proud to be an anchor investor in PWR, a path-breaking initiative that unifies the global pickleball community. The Times Group is known for its innovation and its ability to be ahead of the curve in every one of its initiatives. PWR is more than just a ranking system. It is a platform that empowers players from every corner of the globe to compete, excel, and showcase their talents on an international stage. This tour not only brings together the best talents in the sport, but also fosters a spirit of friendship and sportsmanship that transcends barriers. Thank you, and let's celebrate the spirit of pickleball together.
It is the fastest growing sport in the USA and is now on its way to becoming the fastest growing sport in the world. Bureau Report, Times Now.